Doing something for 2 minutes a day is one of the most effective ways to get anything done. Now, it may sound counterintuitive, but when you're trying to do anything, whether it's learning a new skill, focusing on a hobby or task, or even just clean, it is far more effective to do it for 2 minutes every single day rather than something such as 30 minutes twice a week. Obviously, the more time you put into something, the better you're going to be at that thing in general. If you could put in 60 minutes a day, yeah, that would be better. But nobody has unlimited time. I'm busy, you're probably busy too. And honestly, people rarely work on something for 60 minutes a day after a long day of work. They usually might try that once a week. But when it comes down to putting these sessions on your schedule, just 2 minutes a day is plenty effective. Actually, I figured out on my own what I called the 5-minute a day rule. But I spoke to a friend and he told me he read a book called Atomic Habits, which spoke about something similar, except it was called the 2-minute a day rule. I thought it was interesting, so I tried it. And yeah, no, I agree that 2 minutes a day is much more effective and better than 5 minutes a day. I have yet to read Atomic Habits. I will, but I want to discuss my own original ideas first. If I had to explain in one sentence why the 2-minute rule is so effective, it's because we lie to ourselves a lot. All of us have, at some point in our lives, wanted to try something new, but learning new things takes effort. It can be daunting to even get started. And so, the big lies that we tell ourselves are, I'm too tired. I don't have time today. I'll do it tomorrow. And also, it's only 2 minutes. Why not? From these lies and from the follow-up actions that these lies incite, it turns out that 2 minutes a day is not actually just 2 minutes a day, and 30 minutes twice a week is not actually just 30 minutes twice a week. Therefore, we're not comparing 14 minutes total per week versus 60 minutes total per week. The times and how we feel about those times change quite a lot. It can be stressful to prepare yourself for a 30-minute session when it's not quite integrated into your life. You're tired, busy, and so the likelihood of you dropping and not going through with it is much higher. And if you do that often, you're cutting down on a significant amount of time spent towards your task. So let's call it an average of 45 minutes per week, because you may often skip or drop sessions. However, it's so easy to convince yourself to do something for just 2 minutes a day because that's barely any time. And you'll find you very rarely only spend 2 minutes doing it. I often easily find myself spending 5 to 20 minutes per session on my task. Of course, there are days where I'm struggling and 2 minutes is all I can barely do, but at least I still do it, which ends up being important to the overall progression. And even if you do miss one day, it has very minimal impact on your overall progress. So by scheduling 2 minutes per day, you can easily spend 10 minutes a day for a total of 70 minutes per week on your goal. And 70 minutes per week is more than the full total or guesstimated total that I gave for 30 minutes twice a week, which was 60 minutes or 45 minutes. Of course, these numbers are biased based on my own experience and may vary from person to person, but from all the people I've seen try to pick up a new task and fail to keep themselves accountable or disciplined, I think that is true for the general populace. Establishing a true routine by doing it every single day significantly increases the chances that routine will become part of your life. How often do you find yourself relaxing after a long day? Perhaps by watching a show or spending time with family, and you still haven't done your task. If you're gonna start a 30-minute session, it takes mental energy just to get started, and thinking about it can stress you out. You have to interrupt whatever is relaxing you to even begin. But a 2-minute session, you can do that while doing other things. Like, it's so fast. You can just say, okay, I am loving this show right now, but I'm just gonna stop, do my session for 2 minutes, and then come right back and keep watching. And you'll find yourself happier that you did your session, and more often than not, enjoying it so much that you're gonna spend more than just 2 minutes on it. Lowering the barrier to entry of even getting started on your session is another reason this is so effective, because on your schedule and in your mind, it's only 2 minutes. Furthermore, if you spend more than 2 minutes, let's say you spent 20 minutes on your task that day, you know you did it that long because you absolutely loved it. And it really does change how you see your task mentally and emotionally. But what if 20 minutes is your limit? On your scheduled 30-minute session, you're gonna love it for the first 20 minutes, but then you're gonna spend the last 10 minutes tired and hating. How do you think that is going to affect your motivation to keep this task on your schedule and in your life? In my opinion, watching the clock and counting the time until you have your freedom back is not going to make you successful. Now, let's talk about how to use your 2 minutes. I encourage you as best as you can to make those 2 minutes real quality. Quantity of time versus quality of time is a large topic that deserves its own other video. But in short, focus can be hard to come by. It's rare that you're able to focus for a whole 30-minute session at the end of your day, which is going to dilute the gains that you would be getting from that session anyway. And mindlessly doing something over and over again is not going to make you better at it past a certain point. Take driving, for example. Many of us drive every day, but are we necessarily good drivers? Do you really think you're a good driver? I want you to look me in the eyes right now and tell me that you can parallel park. I thought so. After driving for a little while, we can do it without thinking. You can speak to passengers, tune the radio. But if you got dropped on a racetrack, would you be able to compete? Not just with professional racers, but even amateur racers? Probably not, because we don't spend time improving once we can safely get around. We just get used to doing what we do over and over again and instill it into our muscle memory. But if you actually spend time learning skills such as proper acceleration and deceleration, how to drift, or heaven forbid, zipper merging, then you'll improve your driving. So focusing on what you want to improve is another key to making the most of your time. You can focus on what you're doing for 2 minutes. Perhaps you can focus on what you're doing and get lost in yourself for 10 minutes. But can you actively focus on something for 30 minutes at the end of the day? But that means that the amount of focus on a session is severely undercounted for a 30-minute session versus a 2-minute session. So that's not only 70 minutes per week, but 70 minutes of actual focus and improving. Compare that to 20 minutes of focus per week, which won't necessarily become longer even if you extend your session, but will definitely become shorter if you skip a session. Humans can only maintain active focus for so long, especially at the end of your day where you already worked your job. And I don't have a hard number on that because it depends on so many variables, but I would not give yourself the benefit of the doubt. We drift in and out of focus all day, which is one reason why meditation is so highly encouraged for learning how to focus and center yourself. So, okay, so now you're focused, what are you going to focus on? Well, you need a strategy. And believe it or not, planning what you're going to do during your sessions also counts as one of your sessions. So when you're just starting something, the first couple sessions can be planning what you're going to do once you actively get into it. You need to be focusing on getting meaningful work done during your session, which means you need to have a plan of action. Let's say you want to learn a language. First, you need to learn how to learn a language. Trust me, that's really important. Don't just mindlessly do your Duolingo reps. If you want to succeed at a task, you need to have a specific goal and a planned methodology to make sure you're using your time efficiently. I cannot overstate enough how important it is to strategize your time. Lastly, if you do something every day, it will always be on your mind and in your recall. That's more time spent both actively and passively towards your task. What you just did will be fresh in your memory, and what you want to do next will often be obvious. But if you just do it every now and then, if you're starting a session after a week off or a few days off, you're going to spend the beginning of that session trying to remember what you did last. After that, once you come up with a plan for the next session, you're going to forget about it after a couple days and stop thinking about it. Getting your subconscious to work for you is another advantage of doing something for 2 minutes a day. Have you ever had a eureka moment where you're relaxing, listening to music, going for a walk, and suddenly you've just figured out how to solve one of your problems? Just because you're not actively thinking about something doesn't mean that your brain is not processing information about that subject. Now, I'm not an expert on how subconscious thought works, but I do think it's correct to say that the more something is in your active mind, the more your inactive mind is going to work on and process that information. And when you're tired, busy, stressed, and still hoping to make progress towards your task or goal after a long day, finding solutions without you thinking about it is surely only going to make your life easier. Thanks for watching. This was my first attempt at making this kind of video, so if you have suggestions on any of the details, editing, background, audio-video details, background music, or anything else at all, please let me know in the comments. Also, I'll put links in the description if you want to see my music journey and language learning journey channels. Bye-bye.